Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tran's Talk. I am Robin Tran. Please like and subscribe if you've been enjoying these episodes as much as I have been enjoying making them, which is a lot. I really like hearing myself talk, and I hope that you do too. So, today we're going to talk about self esteem. You guys ready? Because I have said in several episodes now that my self esteem has gone up quite a bit, and I kind of gloss over oh, I'm building resiliency and I'm doing this and that. So I want to take everyone through a journey of my self esteem. And so we're going to go back to the very beginning. Um, not the very beginning, not like I'm in the womb. That would be crazy. I hated myself when I was in the womb. No, no, no. So, um, I came from I came from my family who um, always kind of made me feel like I was a piece of shit, right? Because we grew up poor. I have a great poverty episode that you should check out. Um, and growing up poor, you just kind of you're really mad at everything because you don't have any money, right? So if you're a parent, you yell at the kid because you're poor. I mean, maybe that's not why they did it. Um, I would imagine that's one of the reasons why. But so it was a combination of that, and and it was also my sister would tell me I was ugly every single day, and that no one would ever love me. That I was a burden, and that life was better before you were born, and all this stuff. It really fucked with my self esteem, right? But I think before all this, I have this very distinct memory. I think I was about 7 years old, or is it maybe I was 6 years old? I was very, very young, and the reason I remember this was because it was one of the first feelings of shame I ever had. It was my whole family was apple picking, right? And so somebody, the whole family was there, and so somebody brought a camera to take pictures of the whole family in different places apple picking. And me, a little kid, loved the camera. Just loved the camera. For I don't even know why I love the camera so much. I think that I just really liked myself. If I'm really honest with what like that, I was kind of like this kind of gay kid, but no one in my family knew what kind of gay I was, but they knew I was gay in some fucking way, right? So, um, anytime someone would take a picture, I would jump in and I would do like a little pose, right? I would do like a little pose, and I was so happy doing these poses. And then I remember coming home, and my parents were really mad at me because apparently my aunt and uncle were complaining that they raised a kid who would do something like this, and I didn't know what I did wrong. I just did what made me happy, but when they told me that it was wrong of me to jump into pictures and be happy, I didn't really know what that meant. All I knew was that I did something wrong, and I didn't know why it was wrong, but I knew that I made a lot of adults very mad at me, and I think the lack of clarity of what was wrong with it kind of fucked with me also. But that little gay kid running around in front of a camera because I love the camera so much, I think that's actually who I am. Like the more I do these podcasts, I mean, you guys don't even know how much I love doing this podcast. How much I love talking and being on camera. Like I can do this for 9 hours and not get sick of it. Like that's who I am at my essence. I'm like kind of seated, kind of gay now and stuff, and like kind of doing all these things with my gesticulating and all that stuff. Um, because I just I feel like I was like born this gay performer almost, you know, um, and yeah, they my family fucking hated it, and then that in comparison, and then it leads to everything else, and you kind of grow up with these stories you tell yourself, and I mean I told a lot of stories about myself because of how I was treated as a kid. There was a lot of trauma, like you're ugly, you're unlovable, no one's ever gonna like you. And then my first two crushes in fourth grade and eighth grade, they both responded to me liking them with ew. A little joke I do is people say that the worst thing a girl can say is no. And I'm like, no, the worst thing a girl can say is ew. I think ew is a lot worse. I would have loved a no. Please just say you don't have to say ew like I did something wrong. Um, so basically, my sister saying all that stuff to me, and then my first two crushes, um, it just that was enough for me to tell myself a story that lasted essentially 30 years. Like it was like this it was like it didn't matter that point on in my life how much evidence went against that story. That story was ingrained in me, and you know, I would say that the story lasted I until like 2 months ago. Like I it's not one of these. This is not one of those things where like I'm looking back years later at like when I was so distraught. I'm like, this is like fresh in my memory. Like I'm telling you guys this like this is like an ongoing raising of my self-esteem because this story had such a stranglehold on me. And I think when you get obsessed with a story, it can be any story, you know? Like another thing I want to talk about is just like when you get obsessed with a story, it's really dangerous because letting go of a story is very difficult, you know? Just a quick detour, right? And for an example is like the story of America, right? Like people love America because of the story of it, not because of what it's doing. Because what America is doing is pretty reprehensible, right? Like bombing other countries, you know, funding wars, like deporting Latinos for no cause, and you know, like this country is in disarray, and um, the fact that not the fact that some people still like America, like, it's crazy to me. You know, like I think you should like the people inside of America because you want to protect the people inside, and it's about the people. But the fact that people are they still like America is because they like the story of America, the story of shining on the hill. I don't know what the fuck the story is. Whatever you guys. I feel like I've said this on a different episode before, but it bears repeating that stories are dangerous, right? So the story I told myself of Robin Tran is unlikable. Girls don't like Robin Tran. I was Robert Tran at the time, but you get the point, right? Girls don't like me, no matter what. Girls don't like me. Um, so when you tell yourself this story over and over again, any kind of like conflicting evidence, it's like it bounced off me, right? It's like this is not the story I told myself. My brain cannot compute this. It goes against the story. So I think on some level, I would work very hard to make them not like me so it can fit the story I told myself, because a different story I didn't feel made sense or was possible. Like the story, like me thinking that girls don't like me or whatever, the bullshit I said was it's so patently false now. Like when I like really, and I'm telling you guys this, like I'm not saying I'm like the biggest catch in the world or anything like that, um I am, but no, I'm sorry, I'm kidding. But I, the fact that I saw myself as like irreparably ugly, like so ugly that I wouldn't even like. I remember when I was like first doing TikTok and I like blew up a little bit. Um, like I ran out of stand up clips, and I was getting like 100,000 followers, and I'm like, I'm out of stand up clips. I don't know what to do, and my ex, at the time was like, well, just shoot your face on camera. And I started crying, and I was like, no one wants to see my big, fat, stupid, ugly face. And I was sobbing because I was so ugly. No one was going to want to see my face. And this was 5 years ago, you know, like that's not that long ago. And like that's how much that's how low my self esteem was. Like, um, anytime a girl liked me, I thought, well, she's like under some kind of delusion right now. She's gonna realize that I'm ugly one day, and she'll be ashamed she ever liked me, or like, oh, she's not interested in me because we're friends, and she didn't want to ruin the friendship. I'm like, oh, it says I'm ugly, right? It's like this. It's always gonna go back to like, how do I make the story about me being ugly and unlovable and unfuckable and all this stuff? And and then so the self esteem was just in the toilet with the way I looked, the way I felt, and being told I was a burden to this world. Like I was like, my sister telling me like life was better before you were born, and I heard that all the time. Like life was better before you were born, so I felt like everything I did in my life, like my existence was a net negative, right? So like everything I did had to be some kind of positive to justify my own existence, and so I was kind of operating under this fear and this shame of trying to make myself like justify my own existence. Like if I didn't do something good, there's no reason I should be alive because I shouldn't be here to begin with, because my very existence in itself is a burden to the world, right? Like that is a foundational part of who I was a burden, ugly, and then I have a whole episode about poverty, um, not having money. It's just like all that kind of hits comes together, right? And then when you feel ugly, stupid, I was called stupid a lot, ugly, stupid, burden, your whole life, right? Not even your whole life. Let me take that back. You're told it during your younger years when your brain is forming, and then people stop doing that. It's not going to. Excuse me, I just burped. That's disgusting. But I'm talking about how attractive I am. I'm just burping on camera. But like, so you have these stories, right? But like, even if people stop doing the story, it's like it's still seared in your head. Um, like in my group of friends, right? In high school, I was kind of called the fat one in the group. This Asian group of Asian friends of mine would call me fat all the time. That was fucked up. My self esteem was fucked up there. They would judge me a lot. And I remember when I was in college once, like when I just got to college, and I was hanging out with these two classmates, and we were like, the three of us were studying in a library, and we were just having a great time. And I don't know what I was saying exactly, but it made the two girls look at each other, and like they both wanted to tell me something they'd been wanting to tell me, right? And then I was like, "What's going on?" And they're like, we think that you like, it feels like you think that we think more negatively about you than we actually do." And I'm like, "What? Wait, what do you guys mean?" It's like, "Yeah, you keep talking like we don't want to be around you or something, but that's not true, right? Like we like hanging out with you." And like no one ever like said that to me before. Like no one ever just straight up said that to me before, and I remember it very vividly because it was like, holy fuck, like that was so shocking. It was that the story, it just didn't match up. My brain almost like kind of malfunctioned a little bit, and I remember I just like got up and I was like, "Hey guys, I'll see you later." Like I didn't know how to handle this cognitive dissonance with this story, and I think I didn't really like hang out with them after that very much because they didn't fit the story I told myself. Like if it doesn't match my confirmation bias, why would I hang out with them? Why would I hang out with someone that might turn my world upside down, even in a positive way? Like who am I without the story? I think that's part of it, right? Like who am I without the story? And so the story of being powerless, useless piece of shit, can't do anything. That was another thing. I was very disempowered by my parents. Like you can't do fucking anything. Like I wanted to cook. You can't cook. You'll burn the house down. I try to do something. My mom goes, "You can't do that. Let me do it for you." My dad, he would even say like, "This is how you wash the dishes." I'm like 20 years old. I know how to wash the dishes. You fucking idiot. But like, it's disempowering, right? Like, so this story just kind of like stayed with me, and it got to the point where when I look back at some of my old relationships, I sabotaged, I think, maybe all of them, because, and this is something I'm realizing very recently, is I think that like I feel very comfortable being like the weak one, right? The one that's kind of down here, and I have to like, please like me. Like I think that's a position that I feel comfortable in because it's like it doesn't really require any work. All it requires is that you feel shitty about yourself, and that feels awful. But there's not much responsibility in that, right? There's not much to go. When you're already down, there's no more room to go down even further, right? Like you're already down. Um, that's a position I'm comfortable in, right? So I think on some level, when somebody did like me, and I realized that they did like me, my avoidant side comes out, and I think I used to think, oh, it's because I'm afraid of intimacy, I'm afraid of this and that. I think that when I realized people like me, my self esteem was so low that I kind of got the ick that they would like me, you know? Like you like me? Okay, well I thought you were cool, but you like me, which means that you're obviously stupid, right? Like so I would almost have this resentment for people who did like me, right? So I would tell myself the narrative of no one likes me, girls don't like me, blah 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 blah, and then someone would like me, and I would go, this person likes me, they must be stupid or mistaken, and I would do anything I could. This is not conscious, by the way. This is stuff I'm realizing very recently, as in like very very recently, um so that it can so that reality can regulate to the story I was telling myself, um because we couldn't have anything pierce that story, because who am I without the story, right? So yeah, I guess I'm sorry, just like that realization was like so haunting to me, because like what a horrible way to treat someone who loves you, is to resent them for it, is almost to be so disgusted that they love you, because who can love a piece of shit like you? And when you look at yourself that way, you're going to you're going to treat people who love you very carelessly, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. Um, I think one of the themes of this podcast, going, like kind of figuring out like how to let go of self hatred and all that. And I haven't really gone into detail about that. Um, when everything went down the way it did, and I was kind of like suddenly I had to be on my own, right? My self esteem was in the toilet, even worse. I've ruined everything. I've ruined relationships. I've hurt people very deeply. Um, I felt like the worst person in the world, you know. But then, like, it's funny. People ask me like how I got through all this, right? Um, and I guess like I'll try to explain it, like kind of like take you through my inner monologue. Um, Here, let me put it to you like this, and then I'll rewind back. Right, I was doing a college lecture about communication, and the lecture was not what I planned to do, but I ended up just talking about it was about communication, and I talked about like how bad communication ruined my relationships, right? And I was talking about all this stuff. And I kind of brought up my low self esteem and some of the stuff I'm bringing on the podcast right now about like the stories we tell ourselves influences the way we communicate with others. Um, and one of the depressed students was kind of asking like, well, how did you get over that? Like, how did you build the self esteem and all this stuff? And I kind of paused. I didn't have much time left, and I just went, you just have to like go through a lot of shit, and then you survive it and go, well, I didn't die, and that's it. Just remember you didn't die, and you'll be okay eventually. And like that was my answer, and because I had to kind of condense it, because I was running out of time. Um, but that is basically, I think basically what happened is, um, like when I was like first in the shitty motel for 2 days, I was so I was rock bottom, man. I called the suicide hotline. I lost everything. All my belongings are like in a backpack right now. Like one backpack, you know. That's like I didn't get the rest of my stuff back yet. And by the way, and I deserved it, like I fucking deserved it. I'm not saying I didn't deserve it, but and then my friend Keith, Keith let me stay there for a week, and I was so fucked up. The first like day I was staying with Keith, I think I cried almost the entire day. The second day I cried a little bit less, and then the third day I cried a little bit less. Like I think every day I cried a little bit less, and then Keith had to go, out of town, and I was there by myself. And then I think I've told the story. If you don't know it, I hit rock bottom by going back to my dad's place, and then realizing that I deserve better than the environment that was my dad's place, and then kind of saying to myself, "You deserve better than this," was the beginning of my self esteem being built from the ground up. And I mean like self esteem. My self esteem was at a zero, and at a zero in terms of like life, in terms of comedy, my self-esteem was like through the fucking roof, right? And it was almost like if I can somehow just kind of copy and paste that confidence to my life, I would be great, right? But I didn't have that yet. So but outside of stand up where my self-esteem is at a million percent or whatever, my self-esteem outside of comedy was at a zero. So now I've started building up the self-esteem, and at the time I did not know I was building self-esteem. That's not my intention at all. My intention was to fucking survive. All I gave a shit about was surviving. Where am I going to live next? How am I going to get through this day? How am I going to where am I going to stay next after this? How am I going to make money? Who are my friends now? Who can I see now? Where do I live now? Um, and I just remember like um being so like wrapped up in survival, right? That I had time to ruminate, but not nearly as much, right? Like in between survival mode, I would ruminate a lot about, you know, I don't want to say it on the air, but like it's just like a personal thing, right? Like ruminating about a thing I should not be ruminating about nonstop, right? So like I so I would ruminate about that, but then otherwise it was a lot of like, fuck, what do I do next? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I do? Right? What do I do? And I remember when I got this play, I was like dog sitting for 3 weeks in West Hollywood. And I got the place all to myself, right? So now I'm by myself for real, by myself. Keith is not there. Um, my ex isn't there, who I was living with. I was by my fucking self. And man, that was really scary. It was really scary to be by myself, to be alone with my thoughts, because I felt unsafe. I felt unsafe in my body. Um, it's a feeling I've had before, feeling unsafe in my body, and I would. Some people would ask me what does that mean? I wouldn't know what that means. At the time, I just felt unsafe in my body. Like I just felt like something horrible was going to happen to me if I was by myself. Like I couldn't handle it. So the place I started staying at was 5 minutes away from the Comedy Store. So I remember it was like one of my first days there. I think it might have been my first day there. Um, or my second day there. But it was very, 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 very soon once I got there where I thought to myself, like, fuck, god damn it, I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be fucking alone. Let me go to the Comedy Store. It's 5 minutes away. And so I went to the Comedy Store that day, and the welcome reception I got was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So many people there were happy to see me. We haven't seen you in years. We're so glad that you're back. We're so sorry for what you're going through, but we're just glad that you're here. And I remember I was there that day, and Brian Moses, the judge of Roast Battle, was like, "Do you want to judge tonight?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." And I'm there like basically homeless, and I'm judging Roast Battle, and I'm getting like a lot of laughs. Um, and I feel like I'm back home again, you know, and like not necessarily just the roast battle or the judging, but like in comedy, right? Like I felt like I was at home again in comedy, and I remember like thinking, this is who you were meant to be all along. You just forgot because you wanted to feel safe in other ways. You wanted to, not make yourself so vulnerable by being out there so much because like life has been really hard for you. So try to be as safe as you can in this little cocoon as much as you can because you don't want people to hurt you again, like everyone else has in your life, right? Like everyone, like not everyone, not even that everyone hurt you, but you thought everyone hurt you, right? Because of the story that you told yourself. Um, that's very important, actually. I'm glad I caught myself because the truth is that people were not out to get me. People were not out there to hurt me. That all the fears I had were from like 30 fucking years ago, 25 years ago, right? Like, there are very, very few people who just like hate my guts. There's some because I went through a phase where I was just a giant cunt on the internet. If you were a victim of that, I'm really sorry. I like legitimately apologize. I was thought I was doing the right thing by having the right political opinions and just blowing up on anyone that even a perceived disagreement. But other than some people that had to go through that, the vast majority of people like me. That was kind of like a realization I had that day at the Comedy Store. And it started like that day, like the story kind of started shattering a little bit, and then since I was by myself, I started like just kind of opening up my phone and texting. It's like, man, I have so many friends on this phone that I've not called for years. Or some of them, actually, I'll take that back. That I never called like ever because I was so afraid of talking on the phone, right? And I'm like, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that I just felt like I had nobody because I was so afraid of putting myself out there that like I was afraid something bad might happen if I did, right? But the thing is that so many bad things already happened, right? Like when you're kind of like left to fend for yourself financially, spiritually, emotionally, and it's like sudden, right? It's like you now have no safety net. You went from having complete cocoon to no safety net. Who are you now? Who are you, right? You have to kind of face who you are. And so when I was kind of like trying to put my life back together, because I kind of like everything felt so unstable. Then I started kind of putting the pieces back together little by little and realizing I had a lot of friends. My self esteem kind of just started rising just a little bit when I started realizing that like I let a lot of things fall apart in my life. I made so many fuck ups. I did so many mistakes. But when it came down to it, and I went online and I'm like, look, I'm in a bad position right now. And I put some post up, asking for if anyone could Venmo me. And it saved my life. It saved my fucking life, this community for me, and like realizing that like these people, my community, whoever, right? Robin Tran fans, Robin Tran's friends, whatever, was not going to let like Robin Tran just like be out on the street with nothing, right? The fact that the fact that I had that much effect on that many people, um, is like more of just like indisputable proof that I matter to people, and it was like just something that I was more willing to accept, right? Like it's still a hard process. This is like something that I'm still dealing with of like accepting the love from people. It's kind of difficult, because like my walls are up, my low self esteem, and just like when's the other shoe gonna drop? Like the typical stuff that a lot of people talk about, right? Um, but like I don't know, like hey Christina, what's up? Are we almost out?
No, I actually have 15 more minutes.
15 more minutes left. Okay.
I'll come back in 10.
Yeah. Have fun.
I will.
Are you
How's it
making?
going? I'm excited.
I think good. I'm talking about my self esteem. I was ramping up to something.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. But it's about how I'm awesome. I think no, it's I don't know. I think it's about how I'm awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just talking about like building my life back up from from piece by piece, and yeah. Oh yeah, accepting love from a lot of people. That's kind of what it was about. Like seeing that my community wouldn't let me down and wouldn't let me off to die, and just realizing that I mean a lot to people, and accepting that, and kind of like it's starting to shatter the story little by little. And the story of Robin Tran is unlikable. People hate Robin Tran. Robin Tran is a burden. Robin Tran is ugly. All this stuff just kind of like started like it didn't hold up to the reality of what was happening anymore. And and the reason why I'm able to accept more of the love now, and again, not all of it, the walls are still up, is because so many bad things happened to me that I think the walls just had to come down, you know? Like when, I have the story and this cocoon of I'm unlikable and I'm lovable and unlovable and people hate me, you have these walls up, like no one can hurt me if I put these walls up. But then like when you lose everything, you've lost all the walls too. You're like, fuck, man. Like if I don't accept love from people, I'm going to be fucking homeless for real. Like if I don't accept help from people, right? So I like letting myself accept help from people and to like make myself believe people when they want to help me was very helpful. And also like the overwhelming evidence that I meant something to people, because like you got to remember, like I wasn't like Robin Tran, the celebrity that people like are hitting up so I can help them get gigs or whatever. I was like Robin Tran who lost everything, had nothing to they had nothing to gain from helping me, which means that they're helping me because they love me, like there was too much evidence for the story of people hate me to like hold, that it kind of just started like disintegrating more and more. And I don't know when it happened exactly, but it was maybe like a month ago or so. I was in West Hollywood, right? And I was combing my hair, and I looked I looked into the mirror, And I actually went like, damn, you're kind of like an attractive person. Like, I never had that feeling before in my whole life. You're kind of an attractive person. Who cares if other people don't agree with you? They don't have to agree with you. They're allowed to think you're ugly. Who gives a fuck? You know, like, it's not, that doesn't make me feel different about how I look. That was a giant day for me. And why did that happen, right? Well, it's because I went through all this shit. People helped me. I didn't die. I felt a lot of love from people. I feel a little more attractive, you know? It's just surviving, right? I kind of went ahead a little bit, but there was a day I had, um, intentional day of solitude. I feel like I've said some of these on other episodes, so I apologize if I have, but some of these are like pretty recent revelations, so I have to kind of go back a little bit to some other things. But when I was realizing that I was trying to escape, right? That like me going to the comedy store, that's great. But the reason I was going was fear, and that's not great, right? Like there's a fine line between isolation, which is bad, or like escaping yourself and like avoiding being by yourself, which is also bad, and trying to figure out the balance between those two things, right? But I sensed that what I was doing was avoiding myself after a while. Like I was going to the comedy store every day, even days that I was tired. Um, and yeah, I had this intentional day of solitude, and I've talked about it. Here's the story again, real quick. I decided that day to not reach out to anyone just for that day, so it doesn't become isolation, just for one day, and to let myself just feel everything, like just fucking feel it, you know. Um, this is all before the day I looked in the mirror and was like, I want to fuck that person. This is all a little before then, right? So I'm like kind of laying, you know, like I'm like, what do I do with my time? What do I do in between moments? What do I watch on TV? Like it was like this constant like anxiety, like this constant fight or flight. And you know, it's because I realized what was happening was I'm trying to avoid the moment when it all hits me. You know, that was what I was avoiding. The unsafe in my body, all that shit I was feeling, I was avoiding reality hitting me as hard as it possibly can. And it fucking did. It hit me so hard when I was by myself. I had no escape. I had no escape. I made myself go, you have survived a lot. You've been through a lot. You still survived it. You know, you were scrappy. You were resourceful. You're resilient. But unless you can do this part alone, you're always going to seek somebody else for help. And that was the day when I laid down and all of the shit I did just came hitting me so hard. Like really, it really hitting me like how much I hurt people. You know, how much I hurt people that I love. And just not almost like I couldn't take it, you know? And it was like this giant wave of nonstop crying, like just like I couldn't stop crying. I was yelling at the ceiling. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I'm so fucking alone. I'm so lonely. I'm always going to be alone. No one's ever going to love me ever again. I'm fucking lonely. I suck. I'm stupid. You know, all the shit, all of it came out. And then my brain started kind of trying to reach for somebody, right? And this moment was when my brain went to reach for somebody that I used to get like validation from that I don't anymore. And sometimes I would think about them to like self-soothe, right? But then I thought about them trying to soothe me, and it did not make me feel any better at all. Like, and I started thinking about other people that would be there for me, and like what it would feel like for them to be here, or for me to call them right now, or any of that stuff. And I realized, like, in the middle of this panic attack, literally no one can help me except for me. I just need to deal with it on my own. That was a big moment for me. It was a moment when I realized that all of the old coping mechanisms I had of seeking out somebody else for help, I have outgrown. You know, I outgrew it by just being by myself and like, I don't know, just like surviving. Like I had to like live in a motel, then with Keith, and then at this West Hollywood place, and I just kept having to every day I woke up, I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen. I had to like make every day. I had to make something of my day. I had to figure out something, right? Like I started calling my friend, and I'm like, "You want to write a pilot?" You know, like I just started instigating shit like that. Um, because now I had all this free time. I had all this free time, a lot of time to think, a lot of time to be by myself, and it was really fucking hard for the first couple of weeks, like really hard. Um, and that day was really hard. But when I survived it, I started going, "Wow, I think that moment, crying on the bed, yelling at the ceiling, being by myself, feeling unsafe, feeling like I was going to die, I think that was a moment that I had been afraid of experiencing for like so long, for years and years. And when I survived that moment, it was like I think you can like survive anything, you know? Maybe not anything, but you the worst fear you had happened and you're still alive. And I think that does something to for your self-esteem, and it makes you look into the mirror and go, "Yeah, I want to fuck that person." Whatever, right? Whatever. It's a comedy podcast, right, people? Um, but I think that like it's like all these things put together of just going through life, experiencing it, and surviving it. Like I'm not saying that people who go through more are happier. I'm not trying to romanticize the struggle. I'm trying to be careful about that. Um, I think maybe what I'm trying to say is like I was so sheltered before, and I was so closed off before because I hated myself so much that I made my whole world smaller. Um, I think you have to like be brave enough to make your world bigger. Like to let people in, to let people fucking help you, like to let people into your life. And then when you do that, you also have to, at the same time, know when you can do it on your own. Also, like it's a balance of having both, right? To become a whole person yourself, who welcomes other whole people into your life, so that you're all whole people, and not like a missing part of yourself trying to find a missing part of somebody else. Um, and that was that really that I mean I'm telling you that really fucking helped me a lot. Um, I think I had another thing to say about self-esteem that was so deep that I like kind of forgot about, and it doesn't that frustrating when someone forgets what they're gonna say. Um, fuck, what was I gonna say? I have so many things to say about self-esteem. Oh my god, it's driving me crazy. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just like myself a lot more than I did. Uh, oh, this is it. This is very important. Okay, this is a very profound moment in my life. Um, I had to leave the West Hollywood place, and then I'm gonna go move in with my friend Sasha, new friend Sasha, who like loves this podcast, college professor that I gave a lecture for about communication. She said I can stay at her place in Long Beach for a few days before I move in with Christina, where I'm living now in Echo Park. But there was kind of this a couple days kind of bridge, right? And this was the moment, okay? Uh, so I have two suitcases and my backpack and my CPAP machine, which is hilarious that that's part of all this. Um, and so one of the guys in the West Hollywood place is helping me carry my stuff downstairs, right? And then Sasha, this is the first time I've met Sasha in real life, right? We chatted online a few times. I gave a Zoom uh, lecture for her class, but it wasn't in person. I introduced myself to Sasha, and Sasha is introducing herself to the West Hollywood people. And I realize that all of these people that I have just met are introducing themselves to each other, and they're helping me put my stuff away. And that made me so emotional. That made me cry so much. Like it was like I remember I got to Sasha's place, I laid in the bed and I cried while smiling and laughing for half an hour. And I just felt like I'm going to be okay because I've built a community somehow, like in all this time when everything fell apart, and it's still a struggle. I'll be honest. The self-esteem thing is still a struggle. It's better than it was before, but I do have moments still, the residual moments where if somebody really believes in me, I do get a little bit like, ugh, stop believing in me. The self-sabotage wants to come out. The old me wants to come out. The one that was useless and didn't know what they were doing. All this fucking shit, right? Um, but that voice gets a little bit smaller and quieter every time. Um, the story I told myself was wrong. It was a story that was told to me by broken people who didn't know they were broken. They didn't mean to hurt me, some of them. Some of them did mean to hurt me. But none of them really knew what they were talking about. They were kind of being shitty to like an 8-year-old kid, you know? And like holding on to a story from a miserable 8-year-old kid, like that's ridiculous, you know? And trying to adjust to this new story that I'm telling myself, like a real story is just that, yeah, is that people like me and I'm great and I'm funny and all this stuff, is growing pains to adjust myself to the new story, which I'm doing. Um, I love doing this podcast so much because this part of my new story is I'm no longer broken Robin Tran who can't make money, who can't do anything. It's more like I'm becoming like Robin Tran, professional comedian, professional podcaster, great friend to other people, good listener, compassionate, empathetic. And it's like a new story I'm telling myself, and I'm still writing it. So, of course, there are going to be times where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to write next. So let me go back to the old story. I think that's just going to happen for a while. But hey, I'm working on it, And this is a great, one of the great things I'm doing now is this podcast. And so, yeah, I think that's it for self-esteem. For the self-esteem episode, this is it for my self-esteem. This is it. After this, it's all gone, folks. But please like and subscribe. I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to Trans Talk. Okay, bye everyone.
It's so good.
Thank
It
you.
really is so good.